Hello, my name is Austin, and today I'm conducting a presentation related to week 13 of our online course. Here is my proof of my name and date for the presentation. And the topic I've chosen for this presentation is determination of gender relating to genes and hormones. So without further ado, let's get started. There we go. All right, so the first slide will dive a little bit into the background regarding the topic I've chosen. First off, I wanted to bring up the major parts of the reproductive system that we'll be covering. The first of these parts would be the gonads, which are the organs that produce gametes. In males, the gonads are the testes, which produce sperm, and in females, the gonads are the ovaries, which produce eggs. Before the gonads have differentiated, the cells that comprise them are called germ cells. We also have the internal genitalia, which consists of ducts that connect to the external environment, and the external genitalia, which consists of external structures of the genitalia and organs of the reproductive system. I also wanted to quickly touch on the genetic side of things. And remind everyone that chromosomes contain our genes, and there are 22 autosomal pairs and one sex pair in each nucleated cell of the body, except gametes. The sex pair stands out in this presentation because it determines our genetic sex. Males have XY, while females have XX. On this slide, we'll dive a little bit more into the genetic determination of gender. So all the eggs from the mother carry an X chromosome, and the sperm from the father carries an X or a Y chromosome. When the two fuse together, the combination that ensues is what determines the genetic sex of the offspring. So essentially, the presence of the Y chromosome, or lack thereof, is what determines if the offspring will be male or not. I focus kind of on the Y chromosome in this case because even if there is an uneven distribution or an abnormal distribution of the sex chromosomes. Like, for instance, if an egg carries two X chromosomes and the sperm carries the Y, so long as the Y chromosome is present, the offspring will be male and have male characteristics because the Y chromosome is critical in developing male sex characteristics. So this slide will provide us with a bit of a visual aid for the concepts I just covered. On the left, we see a visualization of a female and male parent each donating one of their sex chromosomes through gametes and the combinations that typically occur. Again, females receive an X from each parent, and males would receive an X from the mother and a Y from the father. On the right, I've included a visualization of the chromosomes in our cells. And at the bottom right of that picture, you can see the sex chromosomes visualized. Now we'll talk a little bit about the differentiation of sex characteristics and organs that occurs in the development of an embryo. Early on, the sex of an embryo is hard to determine because the reproductive structures do not begin to differentiate until the 7th week of development. Up until this differentiation occurs, the embryonic tissue that comprises the reproductive organs is considered to be bipotential, meaning it has the potential to become either sex. The bipotential gonads await a signal, or a lack thereof, to begin differentiating. The bipotential gonad is comprised of two major parts. It has an outer cortex and an inner medulla. The cortex is what gives rise to the ovarian tissue, and the medulla is what gives rise to testes. Additionally, we have the bipotential inner genitalia that I mentioned before, which is comprised of Wolffian ducts, which develop into the male internal genitalia, and Mullerian ducts, which develop into female internal genitalia. And lastly, we do have external genitalia that is also waiting a signal to differentiate into either male or female external genitalia. So now I'm going to get into a little bit more about what that signal is. So to kick that off, we'll start by focusing on male embryonic development. Sex determination can be boiled down to the presence or absence of a specific gene called the sex-determining region of the Y chromosome, or SRY gene for short. If this gene is present and working, the bipotential gonads will differentiate into testes. If it is not, however, female-specific genes will express themselves and the gonads will differentiate into ovaries. So the SRY gene produces a protein in males called testes determining factor, which binds to DNA and activates other genes in turn, specifically SOX9, WT1, and SF1. And all of those genes produce proteins that help develop the gonads into testes. Once the testes have formed and differentiated, they begin to secrete three major hormones that then influence the development of male internal and external genitalia. These hormones are anti-Müllerian hormone, and recall that Müllerian ducts are the ducts present in female internal genitalia. Also, we have testosterone and dihydrotestosterone, which are primary steroid hormones in men. So now let's talk about those hormones and the responses they generate. First off, we have AMH, which causes the Müllerian ducts to regress and allows the Wolffian ducts to become the forefront component of the male internal genitalia. And then testosterone takes it a step further and converts the Wolffian ducts into accessory male structures such as the epididymis, vas deferens, and seminal vesicles. Additionally, testosterone also signals for the testes to migrate from the abdomen to the scrotum later on during development. And then lastly, we have DHT, which will signal the development and differentiation of the external genitalia into male genitalia. And then slide 7, finally, we will discuss female embryonic development. In females, there is no Y chromosome, so there's no SRY gene present. In its absence, the cortex of the bipotential gonad differentiates into ovaries. Also, in the absence of AMH, which was secreted by the testes, Müllerian ducts can develop and form, and they form the upper portion of the vagina, uterus, and the fallopian tubes. And also, in the absence of testosterone and DHT, the Wolffian ducts disappear, and the external genitalia develop female characteristics. All right, so that brings us, that concludes my presentation on the genetic and hormonal components of gender determination. Have a nice day.